Greetings, I'm the Political Ferret. Let's talk about Karl Marx. Or better, what became of him in the last 100 years. If you want to see a video about trashing the person Marx, I would suggest a not so new video by Stéphane Molyneux. I added the link in the descriptions. In this video, he points out that Marx himself was neither a good socialist or person, employer, customer, and he was, of course, clearly not a worker, and had no big interest in getting in touch with them. To be true, I agree with his conclusions in the most parts. Where I can't agree is that Marx didn't work. He produced quite a lot of work, and there were people who gave him a buttload of money to keep producing books. That's not as different from people who earn a shitload of money by taking YouTube videos, isn't it? Okay, let's start. First of all, there was a left before Marx. There was even a left before socialism. Please keep that in mind. If this is something completely alien or new to you, please pause the video and watch my other videos about the political left before Marx. Okay. So let's agree again that if we are talking about the left, we mean those people who want the future to be futuristic, in the sense of let us use the new stuff to do new things, and don't cry for the good old times. And we don't mean just everyone who waves red flags, especially not those guys with red flags who want to live 100 years in the past to play revolution. What I want to tackle is the philosophy of Marx and how it influenced the left. You see, we are all children of our time, and the influence of especially Hegel in this time is absolutely undeniable. But what does this mean? The time we are talking about was a time Europe tried to overcome religion, because religion dominated everything since the fall of Rome. After Rome, the church was the only thing that had something like a structure, and they used it to expand their power. With the results you would expect. Well, it was a good time for kicking out religion and its most important ally, the monarchy. We slaughtered about half the population in Europe because of religion in several wars, found out that this is not really a good way of living, and started to bullying out those hardcore believers who set sail as an example to America. We also tested the then left idea of nations, constitutions, republics, and so on. It was a time of big change and there was a lot of blood, but there was a glorious future in the heads of the people. However, the old idea that there is something beyond was still strong. The world was not ready for no hell below us, above us only sky. Sadly, I think we are still not there. If you are not very clever or not clever enough to understand why it makes sense not being an asshole, it pretty much helps to believe in the holy ceiling cat that kicks your butt in all eternity if you misbehave. So, if you fight religion, you have to put something different in this place. So, let's hit Hegel. Hegel's Geist, which means spirit, is something that can be used in this manner. But you end up with a strange mixture of rationality and belief. It boils down to, if you imagine something really, really hard, it becomes reality. It's more or less like we are all God. And this belief is still strong in the Marxist left. There is that's the reason why they try to modify language, because there is this belief that if you stop calling a cripple, he wouldn't be crippled anymore. And it doesn't matter that they do this for decades and it never worked. They keep doing it, like cultists won't stop praying just because God Ugu Bugu never does anything for them. And that's also the reason they want to punish thoughts, because an idea could become reality pretty fast. The socialists who came from the factories did not agree with that. They had, say, more worldly problems. But have you ever seen an intellectual talking with some working class guy? The worker might have a clear point, but communication isn't always about facts. In fact, it more or less never is. The worker who managed to be a real leader of men, those guys who learned how to lead in the hot and hard climate of the factories, united people who were accepted by the workers, didn't last in debates with wealthy, educated intellectuals such as Marx. So the leader of all the socialist movements were intellectuals who didn't give a lot about what the worker wanted. What they wanted to do was to establish a new order where the intellectuals are the noble leaders who give everybody what he needs, and in this process define what the worker has to need and has to want. The burden to rule was now something that was not based on birth anymore. It should have been based on how well you have studied human nature. The intellectual had to rule the stupid worker because the worker were not able to rule themselves. Because if they would have been, they would have gone rid of all these evil oppressors. And this rule of the intellectuals would have to be absolute. And here we hit the core of the problem from my point of view. Modern socialism is a leadership for the people, not by the people, but with more or less no emphasis on what those people want, only what they have to want. And those who think they should lead look down on the masses with scorn. They think that what they have learned in school is essential for being a true evolved human being, and that everybody who doesn't show an interest in learning about socialistic doctrine, philosophy, sociology, psychology, the arts and so on is not only not fit to lead, but also to be his own master. These people see the state as a kindergarten, and the unwashed worker are the infants. They don't want to rule, they know they have to rule. I had discussions that came in more or less exactly these words. It's not that I want to rule, but we have to. And if we can't make them see it, we have to use force. It's all for the better, you will see. So, is this the nature of each and every left movement? And I have to say no, absolutely not. But since the Soviet Revolution, and even before, there was and there is this notion around that left means socialism and socialism means Marxism, and that comes down to everything opposing to Marx is right-wing. But there are social ideas next to Marxism. What about the idea that we get rid of the nations and nationality by birth and organize states based on the laws we want to follow? That's not right-wing, because such a thing never existed. But it's in absolute contrast to Marx's united, homogeneous world. And again, that's wrong. What's wrong with the left? This absolute absurd Marx fetish, the whole idea that thinking something could make things automatically happen. Marxism is so damn deep within the left that it seems to be the basis of all that's left. And it clearly isn't. Again, there was a left before Marx. And if you follow a doctrine that has been tested and that has failed, you are not left. Left is trying something new, and Marxism is not new. It's not untested. A lot of things that Marx predicted was just plain wrong. The most important today is that the rich oppose Marxism, socialism and communism by default, and that's wrong. It was the same with Christianity. The Bible is full with punches against the rich and the rulers, and that the rich and rulers will always oppose Christianity. It's bullshit. They used it to rule Europe for 1,000 years. 100 years in the past, the rich had panic because, imagine, educated workers with access to culture, distributed wealth what a nightmare. But after 100 years of communism, they learned that Marxist systems are as good as Christianity to rule for them. You have to switch sides in the right time, yeah, true. And a lot of rich folks will never ever side with Marxism. But a lot of rich folks do, and they don't do that out of the goodness of their heart. There is a lot of dirty money fighting for Marxism to demolish real left alternatives, because they are the real threat to them. Imagine a left that favors a money system with an expiration date, money that has only value right now and not perhaps tomorrow anymore. What a dream for those who use money to buy stuff anyway. What a nightmare for those who use money as a weapon by hoarding it. I mean, just saying. There is a lot of ranting from the moderate, rational, skeptic left, that there is every day something stupid coming from the regressive leftists, and yes, I agree. But the solution can't be to say, oh, we need to interpret Marx more modern or differently. That's absolutely the same bullshit all those cultists tell us all the time. No, get rid of him as a foundation. He did some impressive work. He had some very interesting ideas, and he formulated them, and in a good way. We tried them, and a lot went south, so let's learn from that and formulate alternatives. If we want a modern left that is based on facts, on work, on success, if we want a society where people do the things they do the best possible way and with as little force on them as possible, we have to leave Hegel and Marx behind us. If we don't, we are just social justice warriors light. Thanks for listening. Please consider liking or subscribing, and have a wonderful day.